Alright, hello everyone. Today will be a bit of a follow-up to the previous video. While I did mention all of the important cards to go and pull for in the first year, the horses wise, I actually missed out on a few pretty damn interesting horses that you might want to consider pulling for, just because they are actually good for inheritance. So inheritance is a very important part of Uma Musume. If you have a waifu horse and you want to train it, you will need to have some pretty damn good inheritances from the other parents. But not just that, do you know you can also inherit the unique of the parents, which means that you actually want to get uniques that are really good for the horse. And there are some uniques that are so damn dominant that you will always be using those uniques for a very long time. And that might be something you want to consider, even though you are not particularly enjoying that horse. But that just because that horse that you're going to pull is going to be a very good parent for a horse that you love. So that is why inheritance is something to consider when you are also pulling the banner. So we'll be looking at a bit of that. We'll also be looking at Urzi's updated document, because Urzi recently updated the document, and so we will be able to see what Urzi's thoughts are. And Urzi is the goated guide maker who has a lot of Uma knowledge, right? Accumulated from all of the JP veterans as well. So let's start off with the horse trivia for the day, because I always give horse trivia whenever we are making a new video. And so this one is still going to be about Goldship. In the previous video, I basically talked about the 12 million yen incident, but actually this one's a 12 billion yen incident. So actually Goldship lost a crap ton of money here, and Goldship can't look at his trainer afterwards. It shows a very strong signs of intelligence. And over here, this is the horse that he was trying to fight, Toho Jackal, right? So if you still don't know who Goldship is, feel free to watch the anime season 1. You can already see this scene replicated exactly word for word. But today, mainly, we're going to talk about the lineage of Goldship, because in the anime, you can see McQueen and Goldship being very close with each other. Actually, they are grandfather and grandson, because on the right is Point Flag. Point Flag is Majiro McQueen's daughter, and on the left, you can see Stay Gold, who is Sunday Silence's son. One day, I'll talk about Sunday Silence, but Sunday Silence is another insanely powerful horse, and has a very insane backstory as well. A lot of these horses actually have some pretty crazy backstories, but the left horse over here, Stay Gold, which is the son of Sunday Silence, is mostly known for being a very good breeding horse, right? And the cost of his breeding services actually is pretty damn high compared to a lot of other horses, and he's quite known for being just a breeding horse. Like, his name is legit a household name for breeding, right? So very interesting. Point Flag is Majiro McQueen, and then on the left we have Sunday Silence. So that means Goldship inherited some really powerful genes. He has the stamina of Majiro McQueen, because Majiro McQueen is actually known as a horse that can do very long runs. She can run for a very long time at a constant speed and can build up the speed also. So her last spurt is basically very long and strong, right? And then on the left, Sunday Silence is a strong bulk, very powerful body. And so they were trying to make a horse with a powerful body and great stamina. And so the end result was Goldship, who actually had both of them, which is why some people think that Goldship could have been a god of horse racing, except that he kind of chooses sometimes not to be a god of horse racing. Right, on the left you can see the funny guy doing all of his funny little faces. Bro has his own attitude, right? And on the right you can see his brother Orphe throwing his jockey into the fence, and this was on purpose because Orphe apparently hates his jockey really hard, right? And apparently one of the things that people say is that Orphe wants to win really fast because he hates his jockey and wants to get him off his back. Pretty damn sad to go and see this for the jockey. And over at the bottom you have Dream Journey, and Dream Journey is another brother of Goldship, and apparently the jockey also visited Orphe and Dream Journey, and Dream Journey tried to eat his shirt, and Orphe was apparently cooled down by that time, so he wasn't very aggressive against him. So yeah, very interesting stuff here. It seems like the family traits here is hereditary, so yeah, something here is definitely going on with the bloodline, right? You inherit super powerful stats, but at the same time you inherit a horrendous attitude, and so Goldship can choose when he wants to lose or win, right? And also, one of the statements that I actually read is actually that some people say that if you bet on Goldship, you are an idiot, and if you don't bet on Goldship, you're an idiot, because this horse, whether he feels like it, he'll either win you a lot of money or lose you a lot of money. Very interesting stuff, right? For the game representation, there's actually some stuff that's actually really interesting. Majiro McQueen actually in the anime is quite smart compared to Goldship, always outsmarting Goldship in many little shenanigans. So she has stamina as representation of her real life, and 10% wisdom as representation of her anime life. And then over here we also have Goldship. Goldship does not have intelligence, which is Well, I mean, you see her, right? She's not that smart, but she's a bit random. She has however, the stamina of her grandma and also the power of her grandpa. So I think that's pretty damn interesting. Very, very cool stuff here. So Goldship and Vegiro both have the same stamina growths to show that they actually are from the same bloodline here. So really, really damn cool stuff. In addition, if you look properly, you can actually see all of Goldship's brothers. Orphe over here, dominant horse, also a 4th position horse, also a very powerful horse for the JP meta. And then on the bottom left over here, we have Dream Journey and Gentle Donna. Gentle Donna is one of Goldship's lovers. Apparently, he did not want to mate with Gentle Donna, apparently being intimidated by her. I'm not too certain about that because Goldship is actually a very big horse, so I don't think Gentle Donna is actually bigger than him, but yeah, that's one of his lovers. Dream Journey is one of his brothers over here, also a chaser. I'm not sure if it's a meta horse, but it's a very decent horse, I think, for the time. After that, we also have his friend. Goldship brother is Nakayama Festa, and in a lot of Goldship's events, you will see Nakayama Festa talking to him. So I think that this is the first instance that you see Goldship talking to one of his brothers already from the start. A lot of Goldship's events actually involve talking with Nakayama here because they are related, right? Nakayama is supposed to be designed as a gambler, so if you like gambling, you can actually go and see this skill over here and be like, I like gambling. You need to make sure you're not the 3 most popular characters, so you can get a 60% chance of increasing your stats. Quite interesting, yeah, quite interesting. And then also, if you want to see some more funky Goldship random shit, Summer Goldship is a very funny one because her unique is basically at a random point in the second half of the race, your speed will increase, but you also pop 2 random skills regardless of conditions. This makes her a very good parent for debuffers, because debuffers just want to trigger the skills and they don't really care what position they're in. So you can actually force your debuffs to pop with this unique over here, showing once again that Goldship is the GOAT. Right? Early Champions Meet meta, most likely you will be using either Narita Taishin or Goldship, because the White Demon is going to win very easily in the early Champions Meets. And it's very, very powerful for long and medium races. Alright, so that's pretty much it. We will mostly be looking at the document for now. If you don't like the document, well, I'm just gonna yap. So just close your eyes and listen to me yap. Alright, so pretty much what Urzi says is very similar to what I say. There are very few must-pull support cards early in the game. Kita-san, Fine Motion, Super Crit. Everyone and their mom is reciting this one over here. Okay, take note, Fine Motion never gets a banner. Alright, so that means you will basically have to RNG the Fine Motion. However, Nice Nature and Mr. CB are good intelligence cards that can compensate for Fine Motion, and in fact are really good for Make a New Track. So they are good side grades to Fine Motion, and ultimately Wits cards are meant for skills. CB is going to be a chaser card, so it's a 4th position card, and Nice Nature is more of a 3rd position card. So these are the reasons why you want to get any of these cards over here. And if you need one card to replace your Fine Motion because you don't have a lot of copies of it, Nice Nature would be someone that I pull really, really early on. Very strong card that can scale pretty well for a while. Alright, card quality will definitely go up around Grandmasters. I played until then and then I stopped, but after Grandmasters, a lot of insanely powerful cards and Umas also really start coming out. So you still have quite a long period of time where you can just start saving for your future characters. Right? After that, for Umas, don't chase meta racing Umas, obviously. Urzi plays Majiro Dober for every single Champions Meet. For me, I train Christmas Oguri and all of my chasers for any Champions Meet, unless it's a short one. If it's a short one, I just say, whoops, I don't have a short horse. I just say whatever, I can't win. Right? And I also know some people who build Haru Urara. I know people who build Daiwa. I know people who build besides Daiwa, Vodka. Yeah, Vodka fans. I know a lot of people who have fans of specific horses. So feel free to just go for your waifus. Ultimately, chasing meta Umas is for whales. It's very expensive to guarantee a meta horse, so that means that you will basically be always losing your carrots overall, right? Because even if you win a lot with the Champions Meet, it will never be enough to compensate for the gems that you dumped into a horse banner. So horses is always meta or for parents to make your favorite horse a godlike horse. So that is the only other situation that I would recommend pulling an Uma, because you want to inherit so that you can give it to other people, right? So over here you see Seiyan, but there's also Majiro Dober, which I missed the first time, so I want to address that today, right? Ideal support card banner pulls, pretty much the exact same as me. Kita-san Diamond, Creek and Tazuna, Rico and Rice, and then Fuku Ayabe, Fuku Kitaru and Superpower Ayabe, but it's mainly for Fuku, it's not for Ayabe, right? For MANT, we will not be talking about this. This one's one's too far for you guys to worry about. And for Umas to watch for, this one is quite important. So this is the one that some people are asking for. I saw a comment asking what are the best parents for Oguri cat and whatnot. Well, I can't really tell you right now because I never really researched the regular Oguri cat parents. But basically, you can go and look at this sheet over here, the Uma reference document. This time I will put it in the description, so you will be able to click it. But basically, you can see the early game horses that you can use as parents for a while. You can use Taiki Shuttle for sprint, mile, pace, or late parents. You can use Majiro McQueen for a decent parent for the front lines. You can use Maru Zensky. She's actually a very common parent. That's because Maru Zensky's ultimate actually is acceleration. And acceleration is a very important stat because uniques the best uniques are usually going to be acceleration focused uniques, because unique is such the acceleration is a bit hard to get, right? You can get a lot of speed. You can get a lot of speed from everywhere. Even like your Kitasan Black gives you a speed skill, but acceleration without acceleration is a bit annoying. So usually people will go and find ways to get acceleration into their Uma. Or in the case of Christmas Oguri, they will try to find ways to get more recoveries. And so you will want to get a horse that has a recovery skill inside, and then you slap it onto your Xmas Oguri, for example. Or you can also inherit recoveries onto Swimsuit Maruzinski, because Swimsuit Maruzinski also wants recoveries to trigger her ultimate. So there's a lot of different things that you can do to make a horse really good. It's just you have to go and find it, right? It's very hard to make a one-in-all guide for all of these Umas, but we can give you a generic advice for which type of Uma, and then from there you just go and pull the horse to go and train your favorite horse, right? Special Week, often a decent parent for pace to late Umas. Special Week gives a 0.1 acceleration, which is not that amazing compared to others. Others give like 0.4, 0.3. So Special Week is a bit on the low side here, but she also gives speed alongside the acceleration. So she's a decent Uma for that. Narita Brian is actually a pretty decent Uma, gives quite a bit of speed. I think it's 0.3 speed or 0.2 speed, something like that for an inherited unique. Because when you inherit uniques, you actually get a lot less value. But Narita Brian has a secondary line to her unique, so it can trigger a specific extra bit of speed if you can meet the conditions required. And Seiyun Sky, like I said before, is a forever useful meta front runner parent. If you love front position horses, then Seiyun Sky will be the guaranteed horse to pull. Meta chasing wise, front runners are actually very, very whale focused. A lot of whales will build front runners because a lot of the dominant horses early on are going to be front runners, basically the first position horse. So that means that you usually be fighting alongside them for the front position, which is quite tough. So that's why I like to go away from the front position. But if you really love a horse in the front position, then well, get Seiyun Sky, because she will give that front horse a really, really powerful buff. For me, what I prefer to do is I would build a horse to counter the front horse. So I would build Unige. Unige means Great Escape. Great Escape means position even more in front of the first position. So it's the 0th position. And this is only available to specific horses. And these horses just straight up go in front of the runner and try to block them / disable their skills, because some of their skills only trigger if they're in front. So this is one of the strats that you can use to actually counter them. And you can also build debuffers to target those positions for meta horses. So you can always find a way to go and screw the other guy. And if another guy also had the same idea as you, and you both screw the guy at the same time, you might just pull him away from the first position and then you take over, right? So that's why I love chasers. Chasers are really fun for this kind of thing. And you also like debuffers. Nice Nature, one of my favorites. Very, very good debuffer. And then also Suzuka, because she's one of the earliest sources of Unige, the Great Escape that you can get, right? So that's something to go and consider here. So Seiyun Sky for front runners, but take note, whale strategy, and also there's ways to counter the whale strategy early on. So yeah, that's all there is to it for Seiyun Sky. Next, there's Fuji Kiseki. I actually totally forgot that this horse actually gets a buff, and with that buff, she becomes a good frontline parent. So first 2 positions around there. Don't pull immediately though, because she does not get that buff until much later, unless in global they decide to buff her immediately. I don't think they'll do that. I think they usually just follow exactly. So that means that you probably will have to wait a little bit for Fuji to become a very good parent. So yeah, no rush to go and get her. You can just go and pick her up later on. Later on, there's also horse selectors, by the way. So you can actually use the horse selector to select the specific parent or the waifu that you want to go and pull, right? So that's something to go and consider as well. Aoharu wise, this is actually somewhere within your time period. Aoharu will also release Mejiro Dober, a meta-defining horse. If we go to the gacha thing over here, we can see her actually. Let's see. So first we have the enemy ones. Surprisingly, enemy with Queen actually does see some play later on. It's just that she falls off pretty quickly, I think. Not that quick, but still pretty fast. Seiun Sky. After that, Fuji. After that, Summer, Maru, and then after that is going to be Agnes, my friend's favorite, and then Manhattan, my favorite, and then Majuro Doba. Yes, Majuro Doba, the first time that I saw her. Holy shit. I totally forgot that she was actually a very important horse, because this horse, you can borrow her for basically the next 2 years, 1.5 years, because this horse gives you acceleration of 0.4, right? And she's good because she can give it to leaders and betweeners, and so this horse is a very, very good borrow for a lot of horses that want to be in those positions. If you keep your calm in the middle of the pack, during a middle or final late corner, your acceleration increases. Ideally, you find a nice track where there's a good corner for you to get the acceleration, but actually there's quite a few of those, so this is really not a big of a problem. And acceleration, once again, a very important thing to go and inherit for a lot of horses. And I think later on there's also a Camp Majuro Doba, an alternate version of her that also gives something like acceleration. So she becomes like the power creep version of the regular Doba. So Doba is a very powerful parent horse. Christmas Oguri, I mentioned her before. You activate 3 recoveries, one of them being 777, and you basically win the game from there. There will be a lot of other Oguri, so you might even have a debuffer just to counter that specific Oguri strategy, right? Depending on what you want to go for. That's why I like chasers. Chasers actually, they don't really care about chasers. Some people hate chasers with a passion, and then I'm like, yay, I love chasers. So I get to just go and play a debuffer, and then I put a chaser, number 4 position, and then I just run you down. And then that feels really, really good. Right? After that, Fine Motion, Tamamo, and then TM Opera. Oh, apparently this horse is also a very good parent. I did not notice her. She basically gives you a speed bonus if you activate 7 skills, and if you're in the front with 400 meters remaining in the race. So that's the requirement. Some horses are easier to get this one. You can be a betweener or leader, 2nd or 3rd position, or even the 1st position, as long as you're able to trigger, as long as you're basically at the front with 400 meters remaining. Around there, as long as you can hit that, you're pretty much good to go. I think chasers can't really do that in time. They are too late for that, so that means they don't really get the speed. But for everyone else in between, they should be able to trigger this, but you need to make sure you trigger at least 7 skills. So it does require a bit of an intelligence investment, so you can make sure you can trigger all 7 skills. Not really too big of an issue lah. By the time you get to this point, you basically will be able to trigger all of that already. Alright, so that's pretty much all of the Uma stuff. For the cards, you will basically know already. Kita-san, Super Creek, and then after that, your Nice Nature, and then after that, your Fuku Kitaru. Whether you want to go hardcore into MANT or not is up to you for the Fuku Kitaru. If you don't want to go really hardcore into MANT, feel free to go F2P into MANT, because MANT has a lot of budget cards for you to go and get to use also, right? In fact, since MANT only cares about race bonus, Super Creek already gives you race bonus, right? Throne is something that we'll talk about in the future, not now. And then there's also other cards. Nice Nature also gives you race bonus, so you're naturally going to pull for that already because you don't have Fine Motion, and thus you will get race bonus. That's very, very good already. There's a lot of Guts cards. For example, there's also Haru Urara. Haru Urara also comes with race bonus. And Maya Vega, I don't know why they call her a Yabe, but Maya Vega is also a very good race card, one of the most prominent race cards actually. And then there's also a lot of other ones that also have race bonus, and as long as you have race bonus, you can play the game already. It doesn't matter what cards you use, you can print out insanely OP horses just by having race bonus. Thankfully, Super Creek already gives you some natural ones, and then you can go and get the rest from SRs even, right? Like look at this power card over here, Nishino Flower, the one that appears very early on with Yukino Bijin on the banner. This card gives you 15 race bonus. Holy shit. You can pull 1 copy of her and then just use the SR selectors to just pump her up to 4LB, and you will get a bunch of stats here for the future MANT. In fact, you get a gradual increase, you know. You start at 10 race bonus by default. So that means that if you just bring this at 0, it's already pretty damn good. It's equivalent to a Super Creek already. It's just the stat output is not very good, right? So this is a very, very good card to also go and consider later on. You'll probably get spooked by her by the time MANT comes anyway. So really not a big rush to go and pull for this SR, right? So that's pretty much it for this entire talk here. Hopefully this has helped you to decide on and understand what kind of parents you're looking for. Look for a accelerations. Those are very good. Look for consistent activating uniques. When you inherit uniques, you're getting less value from it because they just halve the value most of the time. But as long as it can trigger and it gives you speed, gives you acceleration, gives you recoveries for certain horses, then it is very, very good. Also, if your horse desperately needs recoveries and you don't have the cards for it, feel free to just inherit a unique recovery also can, right? You just need to compensate for the things that you can't deal with right now. Let's say you don't have a super crit at max, you just have 1 LB, then you need a bit more stamina, just go and inherit some other uniques that can give you the stamina, and so on and so forth. So this is one of the things to note for inheritance, and I will talk about inheritance in more detail in the future, because inheritance is a very, very important aspect of this game. It's not just training your own horse, it's more importantly, you need to train other horse to make your horse a god. You can't clear Haru Urara Arima Kinen by default. There's no way. She has horrendous turf and horrendous long. Only through parents can we clear this, and through parents we can also make her stronger by inheriting the uniques as well. Alright, so that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about for this video as a follow-up to the previous video. Hopefully the knowledge was very, very interesting for you, and if I missed anything or you have any of your own knowledge you want to share, feel free to comment down below and I shall take a look at it in the future. Alright, so that's it guys. Thanks for watching. I shall see you guys next time. Bye bye.